Hello everyone, it's me Eric, and today we're going to be talking about ledger lines and exactly what they are. So when you look at a piece of music, you see the 5 lines on a staff. So this is the staff with each line. Now each of those lines is a ledger line. Now how do you differentiate between the different lines? Well, they're numbered. If you start from the bottom one, that'll be ledger line 1. If you go to the next one, that's ledger line 2. And so on and so forth to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you see the little spaces in between? Those are ledger spaces. And of course, those start from 1 to 4. So the first space is 1, second space is 2, third space is 3, fourth space is 4, going from bottom to top. Now, there are other ledger lines that are out there. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I have like a whole thing of sheet music. Well, when you look at one line on your instrument by itself, you have one line of music with notes going across it. And you're thinking to yourself, what are these other ledger lines? Well, they're kind of invisible. You don't see them unless you need to. Now, an example of that is a note that goes past this ledger line area. So I'm going to write out in treble clef. I'll give you a little bit of prior knowledge so that I assume that you know what a treble clef is. If not, it's just merely a symbol indicating how to basically translate the notes. So we're in treble clef and say I want to play a G. So I'm going to write the G at the top of the ledger line. So it's going to be in the ledger space above. See, that's a G right there with the treble clef. Now say I want to go above that and play an A. Well, there's no ledger lines. How am I supposed to know if this is an A or this is an A? You know, whether this note there is the A or that one up there is the A. You need a way to define exactly where all the notes are. And that's where these invisible ledger lines come into play. So, say I have the G again, right there. And I want to play the A. Well, you have to add a little piece of that invisible ledger line. You add in just a little dash, enough to write the A and put a line through it. Just like that. And you see that little line inside? That shows the invisible ledger line popping up. So the way I like to think about it when I'm starting music, there's just a whole bunch of invisible ledger lines in between each space here. There's just a whole bunch, but you can't see them unless you need to. And only in the spaces here. So when you need one note, a little bit of the line will pop out so you can see the note. And if you want to go above the A to a B, you draw just a little bit of the ledger line and place the B on the top. Just like that. So we have the G right there, the A above the ledger line right there, and the B above the ledger line. And so these little ledger lines are invisible unless you totally need them when you go above the staff or even below the staff. So it also applies down there. So I'm just going to draw a couple notes to show you what it looks like below the staff as well. You got one there. You have a C. And we're only going to go down to probably a B just because as an oboist, the lowest note you have is a B flat. So you're not going to go any further than that below the staff. So here's below the staff. You have the D, and you have the invisible ledger line popping through to indicate the C below the D. And then the ledger line on the same level, but the note is below the ledger line indicating the B. And that's how ledger lines really work in music. You won't really see that a lot in beginning music, maybe a little bit more as you develop and go into 8th grade and maybe even like into high school and get the higher notes in the lower register. But that's how ledger lines work. So I hope you learned something today, and I'll talk to you guys later.